So for a fast rundown of the show. The MC gets killed while protecting his friend, but rather than it being Truck-kun or Kan-kun, it's Knife-kun. We have some random dude run down and stab him. After this, he becomes reborn as a slime. At first he doesn't know what's going on, and as he's a slime he can't see anything. They don't quite have eyes. After eating all the plants in the area, something awakens inside of him. It's the Sage system. In other words, it's the plot device used to learn about everything as fast as possible. Well, you might be asking why he has said Sage system. It's because when he was passing away and losing all of the blood in his body, he was saying words in his head, and depending on what he was thinking, he got skills. He became a slime as he was stabbed and lost all the blood in his body, so he got a body that didn't have blood. The most insane ability is most certainly Predator, as it allows the absorption of abilities from monsters or anything he really decides to absorb. After a while, he finds a sealed creature, but he can't see what it is. After all, he still doesn't have eyes. After talking for a bit, the creature teaches our slime how to use the magic in the area to see everything around it. This is where we find out he was talking to a huge dragon the whole time, and this dragon is one of the most powerful beings in the world. However, he was sealed by a hero for hundreds of years. With the help of Sage, they figure out that if Rimuru, the slime, absorbs the barrier, they might be able to analyze it and break it. The reason Rimuru has a name now was due to the fact that the dragon decided to give him a name, and they acknowledged each other as equals and friends. With this, they stated they are brothers, and the dragon was named Vendora Tempest, while our slime became Rimuru Tempest. Names have a lot of importance in this world, as especially if you're a monster and you get named, you pretty much get a huge power amp. And Rimuru knows nothing about this, so he's pretty oblivious, at least at the start. That's like an episode and a half of the show, and you can tell there's a lot more, with the show having 3 seasons, and the first one having 24 episodes. If you like shows that are less serious and or are isekais, this show will be a lot of fun for you. To compare, Shield Hero came out around the same time, and I watched both. While Shield Hero has a serious tone, Slime is just fun, at least mainly fun. It decides to be serious sometimes, however it's mainly themed around fun. This could mean that the show's not for you, however I found the story and its progression enjoyable, especially within the first season. With the later seasons, there's more conflict and problems that occur to create tension, and it's done very well. I did say that the show was more about fun, however there are a lot of points where there is tension, so you're able to get invested. This is important, as otherwise you'd lose all the interest in the story. Another thing is that there's a lot of characters that start getting added. I feel that all the characters in this story have their time to shine, and compared to other shows they get that chance again. All the characters are likable, however I found everyone's obsession with the MC a little extreme. While it makes sense, he saves the lives of all the beings in his village and gives them a second chance, it can feel overplayed sometimes. Other than that, all the characters are very good with their own character development and proper backstories. Throughout the first 2 seasons, everything is very consistent, and I honestly love this story, even if it's a little simple. There's not a lot of shows that keep up their quality throughout seasons, and this leads me to the only real problem which happens in the 3rd season. This is the only part of the story where I felt it was kind of bad, and that's only after the conclusion. Everything else about the season is great, and overall I'd argue that That One Time I Was Reincarnated as a Slime is in my top 20 anime shows. I say 20 as I've watched 600 shows. That's a lot of damage. This puts the show in my top 4%. I'll get to the rating. The story gets a 9.5, as I like the world a lot, and while the actual plot of the story is nothing abnormal, it kept my interest. The world is very vast as we learn about multiple nations and creatures that are very important to the world. A lot of the time, topics like nations and godly beings don't get very explored, as you'll need to get into the logistics of them at some point. This takes a lot of time, as things like religion, racism, and other cultural topics need to be explored between and within each nation. This is how you create an engaging and interesting world. Just as a quick note, I'm not saying that racism needs to be in a world for it to be interesting. I'm saying that topics like racism need to be introduced for the story to be realistic and the world to be realistic. For example, in this world, monsters are discriminated against as they're monsters. They're known for killing people. The only reason why I decided not to give the story a 10 out of 10 is because of the way the third season ended, and to be honest, it still makes narrative sense, it just seems a little bit flawed. But I'm a little bit confused because this is called the third season, but it's actually the second part of the second season, so you know, I'm a little bit confused, and if you're confused because a new season came out and stuff like that, that's why. Either way, the only problem I have is with the third season, and honestly it can easily be fixed with just a little bit more explanation in the next season. The characters get a 9 as they all get developments, have important roles, and as being the most important, they all have a good portion of screen time. The amount of times where a show f***s up is impressive. When I say screen time, I'm not talking about times where they're just there, but times where they get inputs and are real characters. There's many shows that just have parts of the main cast staring into thin air and not having any input in the situation where their input would be normal or even important. It's such an important part of creating a real and immersive situation, at least as immersive as a fantasy show can be. I'm sure there are times where this does happen. However, after rewatching the show before writing the script, I can't remember a single moment where it did happen. This could be due to the amazing framing of the show. When I'm saying framing, it's mainly the animation and the way the perspective of our view is designed. They really know how to place your attention where they want it to be. Moving on, I'll be talking about the action. With the action being amazing, I'll be giving it a 8. While I could give it a 10, there's one big problem. The main character's abilities are kind of crazy and sometimes feel like plot points. This will make sense to you as he fights creatures that can't be killed at some point. When I say they can't be killed, I do not mean that literally. They simply can regenerate a cut off head, for example. Either way, there is still tension in fights, as there's a lot of characters that have importance placed on them. It just depends if you like those characters or not. I personally like most of them. The way every fight is choreographed is very well done, snapping to different perspectives of the battle. For example, more energy is placed into the leg, so we have a fast snap to the leg breaking the ground to enforce what's happening to the viewer. You know what? Fuck it. The action gets a 9 as I've changed my mind. The thing is, I've actually rewatched the show, so I remember the good parts a lot more. Normally, when I review the show, I just do a quick touch-up, but as I had more time, I decided to rewatch it all. At least, you know, it's not nostalgia talking. The powers in this show are a little crazy and have a fuck ton of effects placed on them. They just look very good, and I'll talk about them more when I'm talking about the animation. Other than that, the action is very well structured for a show that has a lot of abilities based in magic. Next, I'll talk about the sound, giving it a 9. As for the opening in the show, the first two were not in my style. They still had good visuals, however, the music was too calm for my taste. The third opening was better, however something changed in the latest one. They decided to go for rock-styled music that has a lot more energy and honestly suits the show a lot more. I just love the drums and the guitar that support the female vocals. We also get a split between English and Japanese vocals that are done very well. This doesn't affect the rating, but it is something that I want to talk about more. At the end of the day, all of us love music, and I'm pretty sure it's a pretty important part of the show, especially as it decides how memorable it is in the future. Even if the show is bad, sometimes the people absolutely love the opening song, and that way they'll still remember that show. As for the sound effects and the music used in the show, it's very clean. Sound effects are all over the place, and I mean that in a good way. They're everywhere, however, it felt natural and I didn't realize they were there unless I was looking for them. This just means that they're very well done. The music used in every situation is very well placed, and there's a lot of different tracks that get played in just one scene to adapt to what's happening. There's only one problem that I have, and honestly, it's not a problem, it's more like a lost opportunity. I wish there were more moments where the epic music would kick in when there's cool stuff happening. I'm specifically talking about that kick in part when it's a lot louder than just background music. From what I remember, this happened only once, unfortunately. As for the animation, I think it at least deserves a 9. It is consistent and fluid. I feel there's not a lot more I can say about it, however the art style is very good. I love the colors used as they're very vibrant. It fits the fantasy element. I might as well say that a lot of the characters get design changes, and I love that about this show. Also, the cast either has different forms or they evolve into stronger versions of the monster they are. This is a very good way to keep the viewers visually interested and also show progress in the story and characters. Overall, the show gets a 45.5 out of 50. There is very little that I actually have a problem with. There is only one problem, and it's about narrative. Okay, so before I say anything, the next thing I'll be talking about is a large spoiler, so if you don't want to be spoiled, bye. And I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll give you 5 seconds. Okay, now the actual problem is how the third season was written. The demon lord Clayman took control of Milim. I don't know how to pronounce her name because I'm really dumb. Also, she's one of the strongest demon lords. However, she was just tricking Clayman into fighting Rimuru and losing. It seems like a good idea, and fundamentally it makes a lot of sense when you think about it. However, it honestly removed all the tension from the season. Clayman is weak as f*** to the point he could not do shit against Shion. If they really wanted to kill him, they could have done it earlier or just written it differently. Assuming that Clayman was smart to the point where he could have just run away or wouldn't fight a battle he couldn't win, how did he get tricked so easily? Rimuru didn't know, as he's not smart, he just has a hack that tells him everything and he just didn't listen to them. The whole thing that caused the tension in this part of the story is just gone. However, a whole nation was almost destroyed just to trick one person. A stupid person at that. There's only one reason that it was written this way, as to make the other Demon Kings not fight Rimuru. However, it feels stupid. We first find out she's under control when she fights a different Demon King, Karian, and kills him. With one of the attacks, she destroys most of the city, and Karian doesn't know anything about this. He also almost actually died. Don't get me wrong, it makes sense, and that's why I didn't reduce the rating. Either way, that's the only real problem I found important to talk about. There's other ones, however, this felt like the one that I found the most annoying. Even with this, I find the show to be very enjoyable, and I can't wait to see what else happens in the future of the story. As always, comment and subscribe. This video took me a lot longer than normal, as I actually fully rewatched the show and decided to get a little bit more specific with the things that I talked about. I tried to improve the structure of the video so it might be more enjoyable to watch as well. If you're one of our subscribers that's wondering why we haven't been posting as frequently, it's because we're getting a little bit busy with life, uni's coming up and stuff like that. We live in the UK, so it's university, it's not college. Also, we're trying to give ourselves a little bit more time off because we were posting pretty frequently. One video every other day for people that haven't been doing YouTube for a while is a little bit tough. Either way, the plan is for us to be posting 2 videos a week minimum, one on Monday, one on Friday. That's normally when we will be posting videos on this channel from now on. Either way, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you next time.